Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Easter Sunday service, the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Grand Traverse. My name is Dan Tholen. I'm happy to be with you here today. Easter is a day about transformation, about what persists through suffering, about the stubborn insistence of life in the face of death. This morning, we explore that theme through two teachers whose paths, separated by centuries and continents, converge in remarkable ways. The Buddha and Jesus both knew what it meant to walk toward difficulty rather than away from it, and both pointed towards something they could not quite name, a liberation that lives on the other side of letting go. I first saw the similarities in the teachings of the Buddha and Jesus in my college days in the late 1960s. I'd recently rejected Christianity, and Buddhism looked interesting. I wondered if maybe Christianity had succeeded as a religion because Jesus had softened the rigidity of the Hebrew God with the Buddhist principles of acceptance and compassion. I also know that the Gospels don't give details about what Jesus did for much of his life, and India wasn't that far from Judea, or certainly not out of reach, so the similarities might not be coincidental. Anyway, we will examine some of those shared truths today. Here at UUCGT, we welcome people of every background, identity, and age, Christians and Buddhists, seekers and skeptics, those who carry these traditions and those encountering them for the first time. Whether you're here in the sanctuary or joining us online, you're glad you're with us. Families with children are always welcome here. If little ones need to move and make noise, well, that's probably just going to make me smile. So, if you're visiting today, we'd love to get to know you. If you're comfortable, we'd invite you to stand and introduce yourself. A microphone will be brought to you so everyone can hear. If you'd prefer not to speak, that's perfectly fine. Are there any visitors who'd like to introduce themselves? Over there, Frank?
Good morning. My name is Pete Hone. I'm a weekly visitor at the Grand Traverse Zen group on Tuesday evenings. Been learning a lot there over the last year. And I was interested in coming and hearing what Kozan had to say this morning. And I'm glad to be here to support her.
Very good. Welcome. If you're visiting today, please, at the social, join us at the social hour and take a yellow cup so we can be sure to introduce ourselves and get to know you. Later in the service, we'll share the joys and concerns of our community. You're invited to write yours down to the care team. You're also welcome to light a candle at any point during the service. Please check out the announcements that are listed in your order of service. I have one new one to add. It's please join us on Saturday, April 25 for Community Connections Summit. This is from our Social Justice Action Committee, an event on April 25. Come be part of a meaningful gathering where we'll connect, learn, and take action together to shape the upcoming elections in ways that reflect our shared values. Stop by the social justice table to learn about more and sign up. We'll love to have you with us. So, as we begin, I invite you to set aside whatever you carried in this morning and open yourself to what this day holds. Please silence your phones so we can be fully present for one another. Now, let us worship together.
Whoever you are and wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here with us this morning. This is probably the hardest Sunday in my time with you, the Sunday after the big news that I shared with you. Most of you have likely heard the news by now, and yes, it's true. I've accepted a call to serve as the senior minister of the First Unitarian Congregation of Toronto in Canada, and so that means my final Sunday with you will be June 21st. I do want to say something clearly before anything else. There's no bad blood here. I'm not leaving because I'm unhappy or dissatisfied. There's no falling out or hidden story, no bigger concern. What there is this extraordinary opportunity that I really could not refuse. A call that felt when it came like something I'd been moving toward without fully knowing it. I'm leaving because something remarkable is pulling me forward, not because anything here pushed me away. This congregation, you, have been the honor of my life to serve, and I really mean that. What we've built together over these 5 years, the ways that you have trusted me, challenged me, and formed me into the minister I am, I will carry all of it with me as long as I serve. And so I want to ask something of you this morning. If the ministry we shared here has meant something to you, if you found belonging, hope, or even healing in this place, now is the moment to bring that forward. The ministry of this congregation does not belong to me. It never did. It belongs to you. And your community is going to need you to show up for one another in the months ahead in ways you may not have had to before. If you loved what we created together, come create it here for someone else. If this place gave you something, I invite you to give it back. That is how a congregation not only survives a transition, it thrives through one. We have time, we have each other, and we have this morning. So let's worship together. My words for you this morning are by the Reverend Dr. Victoria Weinstein, titled, Being the Resurrection. The stone has got to be rolled back from the tomb again and again every year. Roll up your sleeves. He's not coming back, you know. He's not coming back unless it is we who rise for him, we who lay healing hands on the reviled and rejected like he did. We who rage for righteousness with his insistent voice. We who love the sinner, even knowing that the sinner is no farther off than our own heartbeat. He will not be back to join us at the table to share God's extravagant banquet, God's love feast. And so it is you and I who must feast for him, must say the grace and break the bread and pass it to the left and dish up the broiled fish and pass it to the right. And to treat each one so tenderly, as though just this morning they made the personal effort to make it back from heaven or from hell, but certainly from death to be at our side. Because if by some miracle, and why not a miracle, he did come back, wouldn't he want to see us like this? Wouldn't it be a miracle to live for just one day so that if he did, by some amazing feat, come riding into town, he could take a look around and say, this is what I meant. And we could say, it took us a long time, but we finally figured it out. Oh, let us live to make it so. You are the resurrection and the life.
He's not coming back. Took a long time, but we're going to figure it out. Prince Siddhartha Gautama, later become known as the Buddha, the one who waked up, was for 25 years in a very sheltered place in his father's palace. He wanted to get out and see the world. Well, this is where you caution, better be careful what you wish for, because he went out to see loss, pain, poverty, disease. He wanted to figure it out. So he plunked his butt down on the ground under a bow tree, stuck his fingers in the sand, and said, "I'm not moving until I have the answer." Well, eureka. The answer was compassion. He found that we all have a capacity for this gentle vessel where we can pause momentarily in our pain and recognize that, yes, it hurts. Loss hurts. But there's surcease to that loss. When we accept the reality of that loss, it eases the pain.
And now we'll sound the singing bowl to enter a time of stillness.
Would you please rise in body or in spirit and join me in singing our opening hymns this morning, 298 from the Gray Hymnal, "Wake Now My Senses." Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation
everybody this morning? Good. Happy Easter. My friends, I have a question for you. What's on there? Is it something silly? Oh my gosh, it is something silly. Jeff, that's a good image. I like it. My friends, I have a question. What do you think makes somebody a good teacher? What do you think, Golly? They have to know stuff, yeah. They have to have the knowledge to pass on, absolutely. And if they don't know the stuff, maybe they shouldn't be a teacher. That's true. Elliot, what do you think? What makes somebody a good teacher? Chickens. Chickens make somebody a good teacher. I think we can learn from the chickens. What else makes somebody a good teacher? Books. Learning, right? What else? What else makes somebody a good teacher? Think about your teachers. Oh, I see listening, maybe? Was that what that was? Grown-ups, what makes somebody a good teacher? Patience. Amen.
Being willing to admit what you don't know.
Preach.
Ability to connect.
Connect, yes.
Devotion.
Devotion. Students? Can't be a teacher without students, can you? Marty?
Respect.
Yes, respect for their students. Compassion. Did you say writing? Yeah, writing and reading. Curiosity. Getting good grades, sometimes. A million chickens. All right, my friends. So we are talking about two teachers this morning in our service. We are talking about Jesus and we are talking about the Buddha. I have a story about Jesus this morning, who was a teacher. So, Easter is a celebration of Jesus. It is officially held on the first Sunday after the full moon, after the spring equinox. And the reason for that is that it is connected to the Jewish celebration of Passover, which comes into our story. You're making me giggle. Stop. I mean, you don't have to stop, but I am going to be distracted. All right, so this is the story of Easter. Your voice is so silly. All right, here we go. Every year, the Jewish people celebrate Passover with a big feast called the Seder. We're never going to get through the story if you keep this up. Okay. Okay, at the time of the story I'm telling, almost 2,000 years ago, many Jewish people would go once a year to Jerusalem to celebrate Passover. Okay, all right, pull it together. We can do this. And I don't know if we can. And in this particular year, when this story happened, one year there was someone going to Jerusalem who said such amazing things and did such wonderful things that people followed him wherever he went. His name was Jesus, and we remember and honor him as a great storyteller and teacher. So Jesus was going to Jerusalem. As Jesus was going to Jerusalem, crowds of people came to see and hear him speak. He told exciting new stories and helped people think about things in a different way. That's something that teachers do, right? Maybe they give us a different perspective on things we thought we knew. Even little children wanted to hear these stories. You all like to hear stories, right? Yep. Some of Jesus' friends didn't like it when little kids kept coming up to Jesus and wanting to talk to him. They said, "Don't bother Jesus, he has work to do." But Jesus said, "Let them come to me. It is always the children who teach us." If we could all be like children, the world would be a better place. I agree. Even Reverend Alex said preach. When Jesus got to Jerusalem, he went to celebrate the Passover at a Seder with his 12 friends who were called the disciples. They had matzah and bitter herbs, saltwater, eggs, and all the special Passover foods. They prayed for freedom and for peace. At that Passover Seder that Jesus held, it was called the Last Supper because, unfortunately, Jesus died soon afterward. He was killed because some very powerful people didn't like how so many people paid attention and listened to him. They didn't like that people listened to him and not to them. When he died, his friends were very sad because they loved him and they missed him very much. Some of them believed that Jesus' message of his love and his stories were so strong that he came back to life again after he died. And so it happens that the story of his last few days on earth, his death, and his coming back to life takes place at this time of year, in the spring. Why do you think that is? Why do we celebrate Jesus' resurrection in the spring? Because the sun comes back, the earth is coming back to life, right? The chickens are being born, all the new life is happening. Yes, lava chickens. So when the earth is when the earth is coming back to life, it seems like the earth seems to be coming back to life after its death in the winter. The trees get new leaves. A couple more minutes, friends. The flowers bloom, the air warms, and the birds lay their eggs. Easter eggs. Did anybody hunt for Easter eggs yet? Yes, we're going to do that in the morning. Hey, are we focusing? Did anybody hunt for Easter eggs this morning? I did. Ollie did. Did anybody else? No, we're going to do more hunting for Easter eggs after service. All right. Was it so hard? You couldn't find any eggs? We're going to do another one today that might be a little challenging because all of our eggs got snowed on. Okay, all right. So Easter eggs, like the eggs on Passover or eggs at Ostara, remind us that although all living things die, all dead things return to the earth to nourish new life. Whatever the truth is about what happened after Jesus died, one thing we know for sure is that like everyone who is loved, Jesus did live on in people's minds and hearts and was never forgotten. People remember Jesus' stories and all the things he did to help others. They wrote down everything they could remember about him in a book called the Bible. The story they wrote about Jesus reminds us that there is much love, wisdom, and hope in the world, even when we have sad times or hard times or times when all seems lost. If we look for it, a bit like hunting for colored eggs or hidden baskets, then we just might find the joy we are looking for. So my friends, we're going to sing our song, and then we're actually going to stick around for a minute after our song because there's a little game that we're going to play. It's about Jesus and the Buddha.
Would anyone like to help me lead the song today?
Help lead the song? Ollie, go for it.
We are children of the stars, we are children of the earth, we are spinners and weavers in this web of life, and the joy that we weave reaches out beyond the stars and deep within the center of our being. We are children of tomorrow, we are children of our dreams. We are planners and builders in this web of life, and the future that we weave reaches out beyond the stars and deep within the centers of our being.
Well, you all know how much I like game shows. So I thought it would be kind of fun on Easter to play a little bit of a game show together. We're going to look at, hold on one second, I have a book to hold up. There's this really awesome book here called Jesus and Buddha, The Parallel Sayings. And so in this book, the author compares the two different teachers throughout this with one saying from Buddha and one from Jesus. And you can kind of look at them side by side and see a lot of similarities. So what we're going to do today is we're going to play a game of, is this Jesus or is this the Buddha? I've taken a handful of different segments here. We're going to have 3 different rounds. So it'll first start off very easy. We'll work our way up to medium and then to hard mode, all right? You may be surprised to see a saying that you thought was Buddha or Jesus, and we'll find out that it's one or the other. So are you up for playing? Yes. All right. Round 1, easy. do unto others as you would have them do to you. So raise your hand if you think Jesus. All right, anyone think Buddha? Raise your hand. Oh, a couple. And the reveal? It is Jesus. All right, most of us got that one correct. The second one. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God. All right, now who thinks the Buddha this time? Oh, some hands for the Buddha. Okay, who thinks Jesus? All right, and can we get a reveal? You're right again, it's Jesus. Told you, not too hard at first, right? All right, the next one. Hatreds do not ever cease in this world by hating, but by love. This is an eternal truth. Overcome anger by love, overcoming evil by good. Overcome the miser by the giving, by giving, and then overcome the liar by truth. Who are you thinking? Is this Buddha? Is this Jesus? Answer? Buddha. All right. All right, one more and easy round, then we'll get to harder here. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that someone took and sowed in the field. It is the smallest of all the seeds, but when it had grown into the greatest of shrubs and became a tree, so that the birds of the air come and make nests in its branches. Who thinks Buddha? All right, who thinks Jesus? All right, and the answer? Jesus. All right. Round 2. Keep it moving. This is medium difficulty. If you do not tend one another, then who is there to tend to you? Whoever would tend me, he should tend the sick. Jesus, Buddha. Oh, okay. Answer? The Buddha. Told you, they get harder. All right, the next one here. Put your sword back in its place, for all those who take the sword will perish by the sword. Who thinks Jesus for this one? Who thinks the Buddha for this one? Okay, and the answer? Jesus. You knew that one pretty well. This next one, the fault of others are easier to see than one's own, for they are sifted like chaff. Chaff. Who talks about chaff? Is that Jesus? Oh, is that Buddha? The answer? This is the Buddha. All right, last part of medium round. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, for what you will eat or what you will drink. Look at the birds of the air, they neither sow nor reap. Is that Jesus? Or is it Buddha? The answer? Jesus. That was just a curveball for you. And now these are the real heavy hitters. We're going to have to try really hard here. Round 3. Let's go. Do not look at the faults of others, or what others have done or not done. Observe what you yourself have done and have not done. What do you think? Jesus? Buddha. The answer? Buddha. Well done. The next one here. Let the wise man do righteousness, a treasure that others cannot share, which no thief can steal, a treasure which does not pass away. Jesus? Raise your hands for Jesus. What about the Buddha? And the answer? The Buddha. Got you with that one. All right, the last 2. Those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will save it. Jesus? Buddha. No Buddha on that one. All right. Jesus. And our last one, this one's hard. He walks upon the water without parting it, as if on solid ground. What are we thinking? Walking on water. Jesus? The Buddha. I tipped you off that it was a hard one. You knew this one. It is the Buddha. It's about the Buddha. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little bit of a game show of is this Jesus or Buddha? And we'll now go to our offering.
Two teachers, one path. And at the heart of both traditions, a call for generosity, not as obligation, but as practice, a way of loosening the grip of what we cling to and trusting that there is enough. This congregation runs entirely on that kind of generosity. No outside funding, just people who find meaning here and choose to sustain it. Today, ushers will pass baskets with two sides, one supporting the life and ministry of this congregation, the other supporting the community needs, like local food programs, shelters, and services for those most vulnerable. You can also give using the options on the screen. If giving by check, online, or through the app, please note in the memo whether your gift is for your pledge, community needs, or a special collection. And if you're a guest today, please simply let the basket pass. Your presence is gift enough. We now gratefully receive this morning's offering.
We pause now to hold what has been shared, the joys, the concerns, the milestones, the moments of this congregation. If anything feels too heavy, please contact Reverend Alex or look for one of us on the congregational care team. We all have this purple ribbon under our name tag, and we're good listeners. So the online this morning are a joy. I received my general class, oh my goodness, I think it's H something from Indio. This is by Keith Anderson. Keith?
Ham radio.
Oh, ham radio. I received my general class ham radio picnic. This week, my call sign is KF8GFA, Kilo Foxtrot 8 Golf Foxtrot Alpha, let's talk. So you may have to go over to the table and get this to write it down. How many of you do have radio? Oh, good. There are a couple of people. Who knows someone who does? I do, too, yeah. Wow, that's great. Did you notice that Alex has on bunny slippers. Heather wanted to make sure we noticed. Joy and Tobin, wrote in about their children and about how they are in different places, but they have great health and the happiness that they care about. And they want from Gretchen and Tobin, they want to also say that about their significant others, none of whom live nearby. We understand time is limited, and sharing any they have with family is incredibly precious. And Sylvia told me she wanted to honor her mother and Aunt Jean. They had been orphaned and were brought up in a Catholic orphanage, and their favorite day was today. So she wanted to honor them for that. And I didn't write it down, but Michael started some new medication, so he really isn't using his walker. You might notice him today, he has a cane, and that has been a big help in our household, and I'm very happy about that. So, and now let's hold a moment of stillness for what remains in the silence and in our hearts.
Friends, we enter now into a time of contemplative communion. In many traditions, communion is an act of coming forward, of bringing what you're carrying into a sacred space and receiving something in return. This morning, we do the same. Before you is a bowl of water and a basket of stones. The water holds what we offer, and the stones are what we bring. As you feel moved, I invite you to come forward and to take a stone and place it in the bowl of water here, carrying whatever is on your heart. A joy, a grief, a hope that is too tender to name aloud. An intention you are setting down, or one you are just beginning to hold. This is not a time for words, but it is a time for presence together. So, as you feel moved, please come forward.
Would you please join with me in singing our song of response, Spirit of Life? Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Well, you're in for a treat today because you not only get to hear me talk, but you also get to hear Kozan here share some thoughts. We're going to just have a short discussion up here for you as kind of a shared sermon about these two teachers. So I'm really grateful that you're willing to sit up here with me and share this sermon. A lot of our back and forth as we were preparing for this service was around the book Living Buddha, Living Christ. Are any of you familiar with that book? It's a really fantastic book. You know, I know you and I both encountered it in different ways. I thought I'd just start with inviting you to share. How'd you encounter this book?
Well, actually, the book has been on my bookshelf for about 15 years, and I didn't touch it. I'm a Buddhist, and people give me their old books, and then I have a whole collection. But I was curious, but the word Christ was terrifying for me. You know, I grew up, not that anything's wrong, but, you know, I grew up in a Catholic church, and I think some of the teachings were misrepresented, and I was terrified. So I felt spiritually called, but it took me a while to find Buddhism and resonated really well. And as I started to hear some of the teachings, I felt some opening, and then sometimes looking around and thinking, there's some confusion with this here. So I was still not open to delve into that. A few years ago, I heard on NPR an interview with a woman who translated and did a commentary on some fragments of the book, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is like Zen. It was beautiful, and I thought I need to learn more. So then we were talking about this. Dan actually said something about Jesus and Buddha. I thought, I better learn more about Jesus. So I started with a Buddhist explaining it. So I read that just recently.
Yeah.
And then we've had conversation about that. And Alex has been very helpful in my going into this. So thank you. But just to drop the fear of it has been beautiful.
Yeah, you know, I have to say, this book was recently recommended to me too. I read it when I was on retreat last year. And when I read it, I had this weird experience of like, he talks about Christianity better than I've ever heard any Christian talk about Christianity. Like, this is pretty remarkable stuff. And the way that he weaves in still, you know, I'm going to use the word Trinity. I know that's a sore point around here, you know, with UUs, but the way that he writes about these different elements in Buddhist terms is really quite impressive, especially how he talks about the Holy Spirit and the way that that can relate in Buddhist terms as well. But yeah, I find it so compelling the way he's able to translate and write in this voice that's authoritative on it and feels like he really knows what it is. And I feel like what this also gives us is really a permission to approach Jesus in a different way too. Approaching Jesus, you know, the living story of Jesus and what he lived his life as. You know, growing up non-religious, I've always kind of thought about Jesus as another Buddha figure from another tradition, not, you know, any divine sense for me personally, even though that may be a sense for some of you. So I just feel like this opened up a whole bunch for me too that way, of really allowing me to see this in different terms, to not be as afraid of the Christian story in that way. Yeah, so, yeah, what else should we say on this?
I have this amber necklace that I've had on for decades, really. Can you hear me? Okay, sorry.
So here, if you angle it toward yourself, yeah, there you go.
Like that? Ooh. Oh, maybe nobody heard anything yet. It's a Celtic knot, and I know it has Christian roots, but there's so many trinities in the teachings. And in Buddhism, there's something that's similar to the Trinity, and this might not be in line with how it is with Christians, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Is that right? But as Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Dharmakaya, it's three aspects of living that are, it's really one thing, but it's three ways of looking at it. The Buddha was the physical embodiment of an enlightened, a wise person that was able to help, just to fundamentally help. There's no positing that he lasts forever. Then that was his physical body. The Sambhogakaya represents the living spirit of his teachings, you could say, the enjoyment body, they call it. And the Dharmakaya, Dharma can mean truth, like an eternal truth. The whole bigger picture that's not, you know, a dude sitting up there. It's just an immense thing that you can't really talk about in words. But I see the parallels in some of the things I've been studying in the Gnostic Gospels, and then some of this stuff, even in the book of Matthew now. If you're open to it, you see the metaphors that resonate beautifully, and it's just really nice. And I think if we can help each other, if we're Buddhist or Christians or whatever, a positive life practice, help each other do that, because that's how we're going to save the world, by starting here and helping each other do that.
What I especially love in terms of our heritage as Unitarians and Universalists, you know, before the merger, is that both of our traditions really did emphasize the humanity, the living story of Jesus. You know, a lot of traditions will emphasize the death. However, for us, I think historically in our theology, it's been to look at his life. You know, Unitarians of old really emphasized living their lives like Jesus in a way, and following those teachings, regardless of what you believed about the divinity of Jesus, that this was a good person that we could emulate to live by. And I think that's a really important, there's often a distinction made, at least in broader Christianity, between the historical Jesus and the living Jesus, right? And why we actually don't have to choose between the two, right? I think that's also what Thich Nhat Hanh mentions in this, is that these things can actually go together. You don't have to shut one out and accept one. And I think this central claim, right, that the teacher's death did not end the teaching is really the core part. And what I find so resonant about the Easter message, that, you know, these teachings haven't died with the teacher, clearly not. Do you have any thoughts kind of on that, that you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, but I don't know how to say it necessarily. Rebirth is a big thing. Some people think reincarnation, but rebirth is a better word. And because all things are so vastly interconnected, there's this illusion that you are an individual person walking along and you have independent will. As you practice and as you start to see the bigger picture and the unity of the relativity and the whole thing all together, those two things aren't different. As you express yourself every moment, you are reborn, not separate from the whole situation. And that's maybe easy to see or read, but you practice it through your life, just even at the kitchen sink. You know, it's your whole life. That's why the paths might look different, but the one spiritual path, this is your life to use. And whatever approach you take, let's help each other wake up.
Yeah, an interesting parallel too that Thich Nhat Hanh brings up is this idea of mindfulness, right? And kind of comparing a Buddhist sense of that and what that means for someone who follows Jesus. You know, reading the baptism scene, right, in the Gospels through Buddhist eyes even, this idea, the heavens opened and looked like the Holy Spirit descending. You know, it's interesting that you might think of that as a form of enlightenment itself, right? Like this idea of something opening, the ordinary becoming sacred. You know, it's kind of a twist on it that Jesus was actually already enlightened at that moment. You know, that there was an enlightenment moment there that unfurled itself of mindfulness, wisdom, and understanding. And that's really what made him different, in a sense, the enlightenment part, not necessarily the magical aspect of that, but the being fully present part of that. You know, I have a quote to read that I thought was really powerful. When we read, "The heavens opened and the Holy Spirit descended upon him like a dove," we can see that Jesus Christ was already enlightened. He was in touch with the reality of life, the source of mindfulness, wisdom, and understanding with him. And this made him different from other human beings. When he was born into a carpenter's family, he was the Son of Man. And when he opened his heart, the door of heaven was opened to him. But the Holy Spirit is not just for Jesus alone. It is for all of us. From a Buddhist perspective, who is not the child of God? I wondered if you have any reflections on that.
Who is not the child of God? Boy, how do you say that? I think when people talk about awakening, it isn't like the word that a kensho is a Buddhist term that it's a revelatory insight that you think, oh gosh, now I got it, and then it goes away. And there's a way of saying that enlightenment, it's a carrot. It's just to say, yeah, there's a promise of something or ease of suffering. But a way of talking about it is enlightenment is practice enlightenment. Nothing lasts. It comes and goes. And the only way to fully see is to be present every moment. So the idea of, I think what I'm hearing in Christ's teachings and what we call Buddha nature is that everything is basically good. We just don't see the inseparability, and that's where the harm comes in. So we already know that there's this unity of our relative selves and the whole thing at once. But it's not something you keep. It's something that you realize every step of your life. And I think there are a few examples like Buddha and Christ, other teachers, you know, maybe now that really see this in a different way, but they're still human, so they're not immune to the distractions and so forth. We're all in it together, even them. So we have to support Buddha or any manifestations, Christ, in our activity.
You know, this is a great quick segue. I need to make sure I don't do too many of these for our time, but you had mentioned the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. You know, it's really interesting when you look at some of those historically excluded Gospels, how they reframe some of these different ways of seeing things. And what I'm struck so much in how the Gospel of Mary Magdalene talks about some of these things, this idea that there's actually no such thing as sin ultimately. Sin is really just distraction by the ego. You know, seven different ways that we find ourselves trapped in our own sense of ego, this attachment to what is not real and what is not full presence. So I think, like, you know, it's impressive when you can look at some of the broader teachings coming out around that time than what the church declared appropriate theology. right? It just brings a real fascinating different lens to this whole Christian conversation, really, and what, what is really involved and at stake in sin, and the seeds of awareness within ourselves that we choose to water or choose to subvert. So anyway, if any of you are interested, there's some rich stuff there in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. You and I had also mentioned already that the teaching body part remains, right, of both of these great teachers. Two deathbed scenes that are centuries apart, Buddha's weeping disciples and Jesus' grieving followers. Both of these teachers essentially saying the same thing: I'm not going anywhere. I may not physically be here anymore, but my teachings remain. This is kind of reiterated in Buddhism, this living transmission of practice, right? That it doesn't require the teacher to still be breathing in order to receive that teaching. I wonder what you might say about the Sangha and how that operates in the sense of passing on the teaching.
In Buddhism, your practice is supported by what we call the three jewels, the Buddha, the example of enlightening. So that could be your potential, or open to be helped by someone who can help you. So refuge in the Buddha. The Dharma is the truth, capital T. Anything that helps you wake up. It could be Christian teachings. It could be anything. It could be a poem, walking in the woods. And the Sangha, some say the most important part, Sangha means community. And it's not just like a club. It's the people that are intentionally there to practice together. And when you're working with human suffering and you're willing to lay it out on the table, it gets difficult, because that's what you're bringing up, but you're willing to stick with each other no matter what. It doesn't mean that you put down boundaries. We still need healthy boundaries, but you work in the context of relationship, and that's where the real juice is.
Sounds a lot like covenant, doesn't it?
Yes, very much. That's why I really appreciate some of the songs, and the covenant is very Buddhist. But Buddhism isn't about Buddhism, and I think Christ's teachings are not about being a Christian, that living Buddha, living Christ.
Broader than any religious category or box, right?
Yeah.
In my opening words, we had read about becoming the resurrection, right? Those words of, he's not coming back, right? So rather than a metaphysical resuscitation, this idea that the resurrection is actually something that we carry and participate in. If Jesus died and was not resurrected, who would carry on the eternal love, right? Thich Nhat Hanh answers that we are actually the ones that need to do that. We're the ones that need to carry it forward, and that actually is part of what resurrection is really all about. That the living Christ is not a static fact to believe in. It is love being generated moment after moment by people who choose love as well. So I wondered if you would say a little bit. I think the Bodhisattva vow has a parallel in some ways. The commitment to remain present in the world, to embody the teaching, to stay rather than just escape. So I think you had related that to the Sangha as one of those jewels, but there's that commitment to the wider world too, in a sense. Would you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, in the Mahayana tradition, we take bodhisattva vows. Bodhi means awake, sattva being, and that means you're vowing to stay on this path to wake up or find your own truth no matter what. And it is said that you will be on this path until all beings are relieved of suffering. Now, that's really kind of an impossible task, but I think it's like you're just vowing not to abandon anything. You are just going to be in this no matter how the world works. You're going to be there the best you can. It doesn't mean you don't go to a movie if you're just pushed too far. You take care of yourself, but you vow to be in it and of service. That.
So I think taking a look at Jesus and Buddha side by side, right? Many of us have been doing this for years, actually, without even knowing it. I think that was what was revealing for me in this book. Honoring the teacher, trying to carry on the teaching, and asking what it means to live rather than just simply believe. We're all about doing in Unitarian Universalism more than we are about all believing the same way. It's how we live into our values that really counts. And so when we look at Jesus as a Buddha, I just want to emphasize that that's really not a reduction, in any shape or form. It's maybe even a way to see it as a deepening. This idea of seeing him as one who is fully awake, fully present, fully available, fully loving and compassionate in his relationships. And if we look at even the Buddha with Christian eyes, a teacher of compassion who gave his life for the liberation of all beings, right? Whose love continues because we continue it ourselves. And so both of these traditions are really pointing at something that's really ultimately the same. Basically this sense of clearing the wood, this same clearing in the woods, right? That a place where we are fully alive, fully present, and fully loving. That's ultimately, loving God and loving your neighbors as yourself, right, is the ultimate commandment. So the stone rolled away is not so a corpse can walk out, right? It's so something living and breathing can come to life and breathe in us. And so I think that's really what the question of Easter is ultimately asking in a Buddhist sense and also a Christian sense. What will we be the body of today?
Can I read something that I copied from, attributed to the book of Matthew? And it was a translation. Has anybody heard Wisdom of the Masters by Samaneri Jayasara? It's a podcast and very popular, and she talks about all different traditions, even science, Einstein, quantum physics stuff, but put to music in a very hypnotic voice. So I listened to on the book of Matthew last night. And this is in the spirit that we're relative beings and we are the entirety at one, but you are an expression of the entirety in time and space, right now, every moment, every moment. And this is from, attributed to the book of Matthew. Heaven and earth will indeed pass away. The eternal truth will not pass away. It will always be as it is, never changing. I don't know if we can unpack that, but just it seemed that it jived with what we were talking about.
Well, thank you very much for
Thank
willing
you.
to share
Thank
this
you for-
sermon, and I hope you're leaving with some new insights on Easter and Buddha. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll go now to singing our closing hymn.
Would you please rise in body or in spirit and join me in singing Lo, the Earth Awakes Again, number 61 in the Gray Hymnal. Lo, the earth awakes again, Alleluia, from the winter's bond and pain, Alleluia. May we live and flourish, pray,
please either join hands with your neighbor, or we have the symbol of please do not touch me if you're a person that doesn't want to be touched. Outstretch your hands. Those of you online are also welcome to join us in this moment of connection.
We release the chalice flame now and invite you all to carry it with you as you depart. These words are a prayer from Prayers of the Cosmos. It is, at least the way I interpret it, a summary of the Beatitudes, but seems deeply Buddhist. Tuned to the source are those who shine from the deepest place in their bodies. Upon them shall be the rays of universal love.
And in the spirit of covenant, community, and commitment, may we be made ready to serve one another and create the world we so desperately dream of. Go in peace, pass a little squeeze or an air 5. Grow in love.
But it's an interesting